of us a few months ago, and I said to Penny at the time, there's only three people you really need to talk to. You need to talk to Stuart Davis, and he's going to tell you the real story, the real background. The second person you need to talk to, or just read his book, is Mark Hendricks. Mark wrote the book, A Guide to Climbing Mount Warning. Mark's on his way down now, and he's one of our keynote speakers, and he's the president of Save Our Summits. And I said, Penny, the third person you need to talk to is Harry Creamer. Harry is an anthropologist, and between those three people, they will give you all the background you need to make the right decision, and the only decision that you can make to reopen this mountain. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Harry Creamer.
Woo! Thank you, Craig. Thank you, friends. I acknowledge the traditional owners, the Narakwal Nundawal clan, and any Aboriginal people at this rally. I recognise local state MP Janelle Saffin and Mayor of Tweed, Chris Cherry. If Councillors Brinsmead and Owen are here, I thank them for attending. When I was working as the first anthropologist with National Parks, I had the privilege of recording sites with Auntie Millie Boyd, Stuart's grandmother. She knew her traditional culture, which included the Tweed Valley. She could sing the Wollumbin song in language. I spent 39 years with National Parks, 14 as the anthropologist, and I still feel a responsibility and connection to the elders that I worked with and their descendants. A commitment to my profession of anthropology and a continuing connection to National Parks and Heritage New South Wales. 3 reports came out of my work with Millie, but all have now been omitted from the official record. I know the reason, but time does not allow me to explain. Just look at your invitation to this rally for a start. I've never been asked for my advice and never been given access to any reports, so I cannot know everything. But for the past year, I've examined archives, read the literature, gone over research on the site survey in the 1970s and 1980s, of which I was a part, applied the best practice methodology we developed, and spoken with former National Park staff. From all this, I've drawn some conclusions based on the balance of probabilities. I've documented my findings in a paper totaling 24,000 words. National Parks has it all, marked confidential. I'm being very careful with this information and want to avoid it getting into the wrong hands. However, I've made sure the Minister for the Environment has it because she will be making decisions on the future of the National Park and the summit track. I am not being paid for this work. I've also had a look at the Wulambiny Aboriginal Place Management Plan, available online. This document here. The plan was adopted under the coalition government. It was not signed off by Labour Minister Sharp, but she now has responsibility for it. In my opinion, it is a problematic document. Nevertheless, I do not think the authors of the plan, or National Parks, or Heritage New South Wales acted with anything other than good faith, believing all they had heard, seen, read, and then wrote to be true and in the best interests of Aboriginal people. It is simply that they got it wrong in some respects, and for that reason, the plan needs urgent review.
Yeah.
There are many criticisms to be made, but again, I can't go into detail. Just to say, it makes no reference to the provenance of the information it relies on, where it came from, and how. It says nothing about contrary claims, sort of claims that Stuart's been referring you to. It fails to acknowledge the true keeper of the mountain, Millie Boyd, or any other Aboriginal people, while paying undue attention to just one person, now deceased, a Widgeable man from Lismore. It reads like an ambit claim, and despite a far-reaching scope of control, it never went on public exhibition so that the wider community could have a say on this issue. Now, National Parks was right to declare an Aboriginal place above 600 metres, but the management plan does not confine itself to these gazetted boundaries up there. Instead, it bases its claims counting sites in an area approximately 225 square kilometres. 15 kilometres by 15 kilometres around here, which it calls the broader cultural landscape. The plan gives the impression that traditional knowledge about Mount Warning is still widely known, and there are lots of sites on the mountain. Actually, there's one, maybe two at most, known traditionally significant sites within the actual Aboriginal place, plus some interesting stories which can and should be shared with us all. Yes, Wollumbin is important in Aboriginal culture, but not as important as the plan makes out. The main importance, as measured by what most Aboriginal people actually know and care, is that it is a central landmark seen from afar. As one Aboriginal person interviewed for the 2001 report says, Wollumbin is a spiritual beacon to us. In my professional opinion, many of the sites claimed to exist in the plan are either not in the Aboriginal place, not sites at all, or have been invented. I'm not alone in this. As far back as 2000, when this saga began, another Widgeable man from Lismore warned authorities that claims being made in relation to Mount Warning were, I quote, a modern-day invention. National Parks and their consultants took no notice. So here we are today with a management plan that makes Mount Warning look like some hitherto undiscovered Shangri-La of Indigenous spirituality, knowledge and beliefs. We could ask, does it matter what story is told or who told it? Will any story do as long as it adds to the importance of a site? And does it make any difference to the decisions made about how to manage an Aboriginal place or an entire national park? Well, yes, it does matter. National Park says it is basing the decision to close the summit track entirely on the management plan and the reports, not on any wish to close it because it was becoming too difficult to manage. One of those legacy tracks put in by old rangers now long gone, or in this case, from the Wollumbar community in 1908. If that really is the case, the evidence must be absolutely beyond doubt, which as I see it, it is not. Exclusion and secrecy are not values we uphold in our society. Yet they...
Hear, hear, hear.
Yet they are the foundations of the plan of management. I'm calling for a review of the plan to make it clear what is real known and remembered detail on sites and traditions passed down the generations and what is invented or imagined. Truth-telling must go both ways. I'm a whistleblower. Whether it's war crimes, foreign espionage, or bank fraud, the response is always the same. They circle the wagons and give anyone seeking the truth a big runaround. That's what's happened to me, and it's why I'm now speaking out for the first time. As we know, power is rarely shared. It must be taken. It's time for residents of the Tweed Valley to have a say. I call on Council to hold a referendum at the September elections asking residents if they want the summit track to reopen. on conditions of respect to Aboriginal people and benefiting them with job opportunities and income from booking fees. This happens at many other Aboriginal sites across New South Wales. Why shouldn't it happen here?
Yeah.
I call on Minister Sharp to follow her predecessors in the Rann and Carr Labor governments. Neville Rann saved the New South Wales rainforests. This national park, being one of the World Heritage Places, his government protected for all Australians for all time. The Minns Labor government is biting the bullet on some pressing issues. This is one of them, and the minister must show she is also a reformer and order a review of the plan by external experts with the opportunity for public input. Having said that, I received an email from the Minister's office which says, I quote, "The Minister is continuing to listen to the views of a range of stakeholders to ensure all stakeholders are appropriately consulted." So I urge you to find time to contact the Minister by Googling "Contact New South Wales Minister for the Environment." She has all ministers have a page. You write in it and express your views. The more submissions she gets from us, the better. I also call on Minister Sharp to cancel the previous government's commitment to hand back title of all national parks and reserves to Aboriginal organisations. While this sounds like a good idea, it will cause a heap of distress as arguments rage and conflicts arise, just like this one. I grew up working for national parks when the government slogan was, "Parks are for the people."
Here, here.
Many Aboriginal sites are open to the public and allow visitors to appreciate their beauty and meaning. And they also have some spiritual significance, like Wulambiny. No one wants to take that away. A respectfully conducted system of guided walks to the summit, optional guided walks, avoiding the single known site somewhere up there, and allowing visitors to respect and learn about Aboriginal culture and enjoy what nature has given us will not take that away. As one resident of the Tweed Valley told me, quote, "I support the trail staying accessible, but only in a regulated way so that not too many people go up and do so mindfully, not overcrowding or having people running up and down in Lycra and Fitbits pushing everyone else aside." To which I say, hear, hear. As the Irish playwright and novelist George Bernard Shaw said, "Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." Change your mind, Minister.
Here, here.
Change your mind, national parks. And change your mind, Wollumbin Consultative Group.
Here, here.
Absolutely amazing. I'm sure you'll agree. That was fantastic. Great information. Enthralling speech. Thank you, Harry. Round of applause again for Harry, please. Thank you.
Just one question for Harry. Harry, you mentioned there's a single known Aboriginal site. Does the track take people to that site at all?
Not as far as it doesn't. As far as I know, no, it doesn't. It's the site I have in mind, which Auntie Millie told me about, is on the western side, the far western side.
So the existence of the track and the Aboriginal site are not an issue.
That's right. I
Okay.
believe the site is well able to be protected. I was at Moodwingie last September, Moodwingie Historic Site north of Broken Hill. This is an example I gave to the Minister, and she was there also apparently. You can go there. You can go there on guided tours, or you can go there freelancing. 80 kilometres north of Broken Hill in the arid western region of New South Wales. You can see the engravings. Beautiful gallery of ancient engravings. You can see the paintings in the cave, but you can't go up that gully there to Snake Cave because it's sacred. Fair enough. You've been to the site. You can walk over the Crawberry ground. You can see the engravings and paintings. That's the way they manage it. That's the way.
Are there any engravings or paintings up there?
No, not on the mountain.
Okay.
Hi, did you hear somebody up there? Did you hear about it? Tell us. Tell us.